Robert, you recently left, talk about courage, you recently left the board of a think tank. This is what Politico, my home here, wrote about it. Another member of the Conservative Heritage Foundation has resigned following a video posted by the organization's president defending Tucker Carlson's interview with Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. Robert George said he can no longer remain part of the foundation without a full retraction. Can you speak a little bit about that decision?
Well, sometimes one finds oneself in a situation where it's impossible to go along with something that one's friends and colleagues and comrades are proposing or promoting or going along with. And I found myself in that position recently. I had the honor of serving on the Heritage Foundation board. I've been on the board since 2019. I think you're well aware of the circumstances that created a controversy surrounding the Heritage Foundation. Of course, as a member of the board, it was my responsibility to work with my board colleagues toward rectifying a mistake, a bad mistake that had been made at the leadership level at the foundation by a good man, but nevertheless
Can you just remind viewers briefly who might not be as familiar who Nick Fuentes is and why this was so problematic in your view?
Nick Fuentes is a white supremacist who is a sympathizer with figures like Hitler and Stalin. I probably needn't say any more. Your viewers, if they're not familiar with this person, will know on the basis of that description what they're dealing with here. Apparently he has a very large following, especially among disaffected young men, and that's very worrying that a person with sympathies for figures like Stalin and Hitler would have a big following, and especially among disaffected young men. We've seen in history what that leads to sometimes. And another public commentator did a public interview, a rather softball, puffball interview with Mr. Fuentes. The leader of the Heritage Foundation defended the interview and made some allegations against the critics of the interview. I thought that was a terrible mistake. It was, from my point of view, it was necessary to repudiate the statement. When the statement was not repudiated, I felt that I had no choice. I, with the greatest regret and sadness, had to resign from the board of the foundation's board. Now, you know, sometimes you find yourself in that situation, and when you find yourself in that situation, you have to do what your conscience requires. Now, some of my colleagues on the board, their consciences took them to a different place, and I respect that. I'm not holding them up to criticism, much less ridicule. Everybody was in a tough situation. Everybody had to decide for himself or herself what the right thing to do was, and those good people took a different path than the one I took. But I had to follow I can't follow somebody else's conscience. I have to follow my conscience.
What's the response been to your decision?
Well, I think it's fair to say that it has been mixed. Certainly people who are sympathetic to Mr. Fuentes, and many of them are online on X, formerly Twitter, or on other social media accounts, have been extremely and aggressively hostile toward me. They called me some names that I had to look up. I wasn't even familiar with those names. On the other hand, you know, many good people, and again, across the ideological spectrum, people like myself on the more conservative side, people on the more liberal side have reached out to me to thank me or congratulate me for my courage. I was very gratified and grateful to William Galston, the great political theorist at Brookings Institution, former Clinton administration official, you know, certainly on the more liberal side than I am, who did a piece praising me in the Wall Street Journal. Of course, I've had the absolutely unwavering support of Brother Cornell, but also lots of people on the conservative side who abominate figures like Fuentes, who agree with me that there is absolutely no place in the conservative movement for white supremacists, anti-Semites, eugenicists, or bigots of any kind. That's my position. And a lot of people on the conservative side share that perspective, and I've been very grateful for their encouragement and their support.